Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and today we're going to be finally doing a full review on the new 2020 Ford Explorer. First and foremost, we're going to do a quick walk around on the Explorer, then we're going to take it out to see how it drives. A big shout out and thank you to Larry H. Miller Ford Lincoln here in Draper, Utah for providing us with the Explorer. If you are on the market for new Ford or Lincoln, check these guys out, and then if you are stopping for the first time, I'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe. So under the hood here we have an all-new 3-liter twin-turbo V6 that is routed through a 10-speed automatic transmission. Power outputs are 365 horsepower and 380 pound-feet of torque. And then fuel economy is going to be 18 around town and 24 on the highway. Now, finishing things up front, I love this new front grille on the Explorer. It's kind of like a mix between kind of like little like triangle slash honeycomb design. It looks really, really cool. And then you can see this premium white paint. It has a very nice sparkle in the sunlight, but we can look at the lighting cluster. So you can see that you've got LED daytime running lights. You can see what the turn signals look like as well. And then you've got those projector LEDs as well. And then you can see a little lighting just down below. And then right here, we've got our little parking sensors on the bottom of the bumper of the Explorer. So around the side here, we have these 20-inch machine face aluminum wheels on 255mm tires. That's in the front and the rear as well. And then you'll note we've got these little plastic fenders just around those wheels. I like the design of the wheels overall. And then you can see that kind of plastic trim continues on to the side with a little straight trim piece right there. Here's the key fob for the 2020 Explorer. You can see it's the same key fob that they've had for a minute with their upgraded vehicles, but you can see you've got remote start, lock and unlock, and tailgate release. So press that and then you can press remote start twice, and that 3-liter V6 will start right up out of the quad outlet exhaust. You can press that again to shut it off, and then if you press the button just below it, that is what will open up the rear hatch. Now that the rear hatch is opened up, we can look at the interior here. So we actually have a little bit of extra storage under here, and then you can see we've got a little 12-volt there, but you can lower down all of the seats via these little buttons right here. You can raise and lower them. Notice that I pressed that and then it did whatever function to either one of those, which is neat. So you can just do the left, the right, or both right there. And then if you do want to close the tailgate, you can just via that button, and then you can also lock the car from that button right there. So press that and that'll lower down the hatch again. Now looking at the back here, we can see that we've got these new LED lights. These kind of look like they were taken off of the Expedition and kind of put on the Explorer, but downsized just a little bit. Got your Explorer badging, Platinum back here, and then it says EcoBoost on the other side right there. And then, like I said before, quad outlet exhaust. There are little parking sensors on the bottom of the bumper with a receiver hitch right there, and you can get a little bezel to cover it if you want. I've got a little lock button right there, and then you put your hand on the back of the door handle to unlock it. You can do that from the front or the rear, which is nice. We can see we've got all this leather trim here, soft touch, and then you do get these little sunshades in the back. Window control is right there. And then we look at these seats here in the rear. So white leather with the stitching in it, and there's perforations within all these seats. You can see the legroom back in the third row is actually a pretty decent amount. And then we've got cup holders back here, and then we've got heated seats in the rear with some charging stations, and then we've got our climate control for the rear because there is a separate climate in the rear of the Explorer. And then there's vents all throughout the ceiling here in the Explorer to get ventilation to the back passengers. If we press this button, that will lock it, and then the mirrors will power fold in, and then if you unlock, you set to put your hand on the back of the door handle, and the mirrors will power fold out. And we can see that this door panel in the front's identical to the one in the rear, so got a little sound system right there, more of all of that leather and soft touch at the top. And then you can see we've got window controls right here, memory seats right there, door lock and unlock. And then we can see the seats for the front right here, so more perforations. It says Platinum on it since this is the Platinum trim package. And then we've got all of our adjustments right there for the seats. We can see the pedal layout just down below. You actually pull this twice to unlatch the hood. And then we've got all of our light controls right here with the tailgate control right there. And then you can see the steering wheel is automatically adjustable. Start up the 2020 Explorer, put your foot on the brake, push the push start, and the Explorer will start right up. The gauges are fully digital, so they'll just kind of pop into action. So right here we have all of our controls for the little center screen right there, all of your controls for the Bluetooth and phones, and then we have our cruise control, and then your lane departure assistance, all that controls right here, and then volume controls on the radio side of things. And then there are paddle shifters on the back of the steering wheel if you want to shift the gears yourself, and then you've got your regular stocks just behind those. But let's get into the gauge cluster. So we've got a pretty interesting gauge cluster right here. So you've got the miles per hour over on the left hand side, and then on the right hand side You've got these little menus that you can scroll through, so you can change the different screen that it is selected on. Basically, so you can see there's those different screens that you can have, and then you can even change the display setup so you can see how everything is set up right there. But it's pretty configurable, and it's nice that it's fully digital, so you can kind of make it look like whatever you want. Now we've got the center touchscreen right here in the Explorer, and super responsive. It's kind of like a mini iPad, and please don't copyright me for 0.1 seconds of music, YouTube. Probably still will. Anyways, we have all of our controls right here on this little touchscreen. Really easy to use, very, very responsive overall. And in general, it's just a good infotainment system. It looks a little bit interesting, but it's something that you'd get used to after a while, even though it looks like they literally just tucked an iPad into the dash. But while we're on this touchscreen, let's pop the Explorer into reverse so you can see the camera system that pops up. You got trajectory lines and then a little bird's eye view. And then you see you can go just straight to that camera system. So the camera system as well, really good quality, and it shows you quite a bit in terms of angles and all of that. So we have all of our regular analog controls for the radio. You actually have your button for the camera system right there, your parking sensors, and then your hazard lights. Dual zone climate up front, heated, cooled seats for the front, and then you do have a heated steering wheel. Extra storage under here with some charging stations just under. And then we've got some more cup holders right in this area. And then over here, we've got our drive mode select. We'll go over that in a minute. Your parking brake, and then you've got your gear selector with the manual shift mode, which is kind of fun to press the manual shift mode. And auto stop start, that's your parallel and perpendicular parking assistance. This is your hill descent control, and then that's actually your stability control. It's cool, that's the tire spinning out. And then the drive modes, they actually pop up on this little center screen right here. So you can see that we can scroll through them. You've got your eco, and then you've got your sport, and then you've got your tow haul mode, and you can see how it actually changes the whole color of the screen and the layout of the screen just depending on which drive mode you are in, which I think is a really neat feature, and more manufacturers need to add something like this. We've got our little center console right here with some nice stitching, and we can open this up. Tons of storage space in this whole center console, all lined with felt, and you can actually route your little phone through that area. And then we can come over to the center console, so more of this nice leather with wood trim just above. But opening up the glove box, we can see we've got a ton of storage space in this glove box as well. So just above, we can see all the controls here. So we've got like a little sunglass holder, and then we have all the controls for the sunroof. It is a full panoramic sunroof that goes to the rear, so lets a ton of light into the cabin in general. And then we've got all of our universal garage openers with the microphone for the Bluetooth up in that area. Well, now that we've gone over the interior of the Ford Explorer Platinum again, let's actually finally take this out for a drive to see how the new Explorer drives. Now, before we set off here in the Explorer, let's go over points of visibility. So you can see, guys, over the hood, it's pretty easy to see. It kind of like abruptly ends there. And then we can look through both of the mirrors. You can see visibility throughout those is nice as well. And then we can look at the rear, and you can see visibility throughout the rear in general is pretty solid. That window back there is actually pretty big, so it's easy to see all throughout with the Explorer. And then over your other shoulder, blind spot monitoring obviously is going to help with all of that. So let's actually set off here in the Explorer, and first let's talk about steering feel as we make a turn here. So you can see the steering on it is very light. It's actually pretty tight though, so this goes like right where you want it to go in terms of steering. And you notice that there's not really any play with the steering. I mean, the SUV is very direct with where it goes. Now let's get onto the interstate here so we can get a little bit of an acceleration, and of course there's a meter, so we're gonna be waiting for a second, guys. You guys can see I've got it in the sport mode here for the acceleration. And you can see it accelerates very, very quickly. We can shift it back over into normal mode now, so it'll go lower into the RPM range. Yeah, acceleration on this Explorer is actually very, very strong. It's got a little bit more power and torque than the previous generation, even though the engine is a little bit smaller displacement. Now, in terms of road noise and ride quality, there's not a whole lot of road noise that comes into the cabin. And ride quality, it's actually exceptionally smooth in general. You just notice that there's not a whole lot that just comes through. And I mean, this is a very, very comfortable vehicle to drive. It's more on the luxury side of things. Overall, what I have to say is I'm actually really impressed with this new Ford Explorer from the driving perspective. I know that it kind of Confused a lot of people with the pricing because, I mean, this is over $60,000, but I mean, it's got pretty good performance numbers, and the ST has even more power and torque. And so taking into account the performance and the towing capability and then all of the safety tech that this comes with, the Explorer is definitely actually a pretty good value for all the stuff that it comes with and also the capability of a third row SUV. So if you are in the market for a third row SUV, definitely check out this new Explorer, and I'm excited for when we can do a video on the Explorer ST. There we have it, everyone, the all-new 2020 Ford Explorer. Thank you everyone so much for watching, and again, a big shout out and thank you to Larry H. Miller Ford Lincoln here in Draper, Utah, for providing us with the vehicle. If you're on the market for a Ford, check these guys out, and then please comment down below what you thought. Subscribe if you're stopping in for the first time. I'll see all of you in that next video.